Do people ignore your voice, underestimate your presence, or treat you as if your worth is negotiable? In a world ruled by perception and power, the truth is simple. If you're not respected, you're invisible. But respect isn't given, it's taken. And today, we learn how to take it. Look around you. Watch how people move. Some walk as if they own the floor beneath them. Others drift like shadows, unnoticed, unremembered. What separates the two is not wealth, height, looks, or loudness. It's presence, and presence, when cultivated correctly, becomes power. The kind of power that forces people to adjust their tone when speaking to you. The kind of power that demands attention, not through noise, but through controlled silence. Most people chase respect like a beggar chasing coins, bleeding to be liked, hoping to be noticed, performing for approval. But the moment you start performing, you place your value in the hands of the audience. A true Machiavellian never does that. He understands that presence isn't something you ask for, it is something you command. When you enter a room, don't rush to speak. Don't seek smiles or affirmation. Instead, observe. Let your eyes scan like a predator assessing prey. Let your silence linger just long enough to create tension. People fear the unknown and silence, when deliberate is the most powerful unknown in the room. It forces others to interpret you, and in that interpretation, they reveal their insecurities while projecting strength onto you. Your posture is a weapon. Most move like they hope not to be seen. You must move like your presence is a favor to the room. Back straight, chin neutral, not arrogant, but immovable. Every gesture should be intentional. Every movement economical. The chaotic man is dismissed as weak. The composed man is feared as dangerous. Never explain yourself unnecessarily. When you speak, speak with purpose. If your words must be repeated, make sure they're repeated by others, not by you. Let them echo your ideas because they respect your clarity. A man who explains too much exposes his need to be accepted. A Machiavellian doesn't seek acceptance. He seeks leverage, and that leverage is rooted in mystery. People must wonder, who is he? Why does he speak so little, yet command so much? Why do others pay attention when he stands still? When you master this aura, this presence, you don't need to convince people to respect you. They will respect you because they can feel the risk of not doing so. Presence is not just visual, it's behavioral. When others speak over you, do not compete with volume. Compete with control. Lower your tone. Pause. Let silence make them uncomfortable. In that discomfort, they will return your authority to you. Never meet chaos with chaos. Meet it with calm precision. Be the one whose attention others seek, not the one who seeks it. When someone asks a question, don't be quick to answer. Time, hesitation. These create weight. When you finally speak, your words are measured like gold because they are rare. And people respect what is rare. Most individuals betray themselves within seconds. Their eyes flicker with insecurity. Their voice rises in pitch. Their hands fidget. You must train every part of your expression to convey stability. Hold eye contact, but not like a brute. Hold it like someone who already knows the outcome of the conversation. A man who knows what you're going to say, and more importantly, how he's going to use it. When others laugh, don't laugh just to blend in. When others agree, don't nod just to fit. Presence means standing still while the room moves around you. It means being the reference point in a world that constantly shifts. People will test you. They will try to undermine your authority with jokes, challenges, or passive comments. Do not react emotionally. Look them in the eye, let them finish, then respond with indifference. The man who cannot be provoked is the one they all begin to fear. If you walk into every situation needing to be liked, you've already lost. People respect those who appear not to need their respect. That paradox is the foundation of presence. You must train yourself to be internally full, so full of certainty, of vision, of intention, that their approval becomes a background noise you can ignore. Speak in statements, not questions. Even when unsure, speak as though you've decided. People do not follow the most knowledgeable leader. They follow the most certain one. In uncertainty, people crave a signal of confidence. Be that signal. Speak as if you're narrating reality, not negotiating it. There is power in detachment. The one who is desperate to belong will never lead. He is a pawn, not a prince, and you were not born to be a pawn. Let your presence remind them of that. Let it speak before your words do. Let it stand tall when others collapse. Let it become your armor, your sword, and your throne. Respect is directly tied to value. And value, contrary to what you've been told, is not determined by how much you give. It is determined by how much you withhold. If you want to be respected, you must understand a single brutal law of human nature. People do not value what is abundant. They value what is rare. In the game of power, visibility is a gamble. Appear too often, and they will get used to you. Be too accessible, and they will mistake your time for something cheap. The court of public opinion is filled with fools who believe they must always be present to be remembered. They flood others with their availability, thinking constant presence builds loyalty. But Machiavelli knew better. He knew that presence without scarcity breeds contempt. And if you are always there, always responding, always showing up, always explaining yourself, you will become invisible through overexposure. You must learn to master the art of controlled absence, not isolation. Not weakness, but calculated withdrawal. Let your disappearance create desire. Let your silence stir speculation. A powerful man allows himself to vanish strategically, so that when he reappears, the room recalibrates around him. Look at the stars in the sky. They are distant, untouchable, and they ignite fascination because of it. The man who is always reachable is no different from the man who is always dismissed. He teaches others, unintentionally, that his attention is cheap, that his presence can be taken for granted. So stop being always available. Learn to say no. Learn to delay responses. Learn to let your silence speak louder than their noise. If you give people too much of yourself, they will stop asking for you. But when you control your time like a scarce commodity, you become something they chase. That is where respect lies, not in being easy, but in being earned, in making others prove that they're worthy of your focus. There's a reason kings do not walk the streets with peasants. It is not arrogance, it is design. They understand that distance maintains mystique. You must adopt the same principle in every interaction. Be cordial, but not common. Be present, but not predictable. Never let them feel like they have full access to you, emotionally, mentally, or physically. If you respond instantly to every message, every demand, every pull of attention, you become a servant to their expectations. But if you respond selectively, you shift the dynamic. Now they wait for you. Now they wonder what you're thinking. Now they feel tension. And that tension, if managed correctly, turns into respect. There is also power in unpredictability. When they cannot predict when or how you will engage, they stay alert. They observe you more carefully. They tread lightly. You've turned your inconsistency into control. The man who is consistent in his silence is more feared than the man who speaks loudly every day. Loudness fades, stillness echoes, and remember, when people feel entitled to your time, your withdrawal becomes punishment. It's not revenge, it's not retaliation, it's discipline. You are training others, whether you realize it or not, how to treat you. And every time you reward disrespect with your presence, you lose leverage. Withdraw when disrespected. Remove access when taken for granted. Do not explain yourself. Do not chase. Simply remove yourself. Watch how quickly the dynamic shifts. Watch how people begin to tread more carefully, speak more respectfully, and think twice before wasting your time again. Your time is a currency. If you spend it freely, you'll go bankrupt. But if you invest it selectively, people will line up to earn it. They will mirror your value in the way they speak to you, the way they wait for you, and the way they respond when you finally give them a moment. Let your absence plant doubt. Let it create curiosity. People fear what they don't understand and respect what they can't control. If you become too familiar, too predictable, you become forgettable. But if you maintain the right amount of distance, if you remain just out of reach, you become something they obsess over. Controlled distance doesn't mean arrogance. It means you understand the nature of power. You understand that the strongest presence is built through contrast. They must feel the weight of your absence to truly understand the value of your presence. You don't need to be everywhere to be felt. You just need to be missed when you're gone. Respect is never built on kindness alone. If people believe there's no consequence for crossing you, they will walk over you without hesitation. This is one of the most painful truths of life that most people ignore. They try to win respect by being endlessly tolerant, by forgiving too easily, by proving how nice they are. But Machiavelli understood what few dare to admit. People only respect what they fear to lose. The foundation of power lies in consequences. You cannot be respected if your words carry no weight, if your presence changes nothing, and if your absence is unnoticed. You must become the kind of person whose approval is sought and whose disappointment is feared, not in an emotional way, but in a strategic way. If people feel that they can disrespect you without cost, they will do it again and again. Most people confuse reaction with strength. They explode, they scream, they argue, but none of this builds real respect. On the contrary, it shows emotional dependency. When you lash out, you prove that others control your peace. That is not power, it is submission. Machiavelli would never recommend such a display. True power is cold, it is calculated. It responds not with emotion, but with design. When someone undermines you, when they gossip, insult you, mock you, ignore your value, don't fight fire with fire. You respond not in words, but in shifts. A real consequence is felt, not heard. Remove your attention, remove your time, remove your trust. Subtract what you are giving them and do it without warning. Let them feel the vacuum you leave behind. The mistake many make is thinking that by confronting disrespect immediately, they are defending themselves. But often, confrontation only gives the offender attention, fuel for their behavior. Instead, Machiavellian wisdom teaches us to make our silence heavier than their words. Let them wonder why you've gone quiet. Let them notice your withdrawal before they hear your complaint. A person who suddenly loses access to you begins to question themselves. And in that questioning, they feel the consequence. Respect is also maintained by managing the economy of your rewards. If you praise too freely, you weaken your influence. If you help without discretion, you devalue your support. Every time you give something of value, your advice, your presence, your favor, it must be tied to behavior. People must learn that access to you is conditional. Conditional on how they treat you. Conditional on the standards you uphold. This is not manipulation. This is governance. You are governing your kingdom, your life, your time, your peace, and just like any kingdom, it must be defended, not with desperate emotion, but with structure. When someone breaks your code, do not argue, do not plead, enforce distance, withdraw benefits, introduce silence. It's in that space that respect is born, not in your anger, but in your restraint. Let them remember that you were generous, but never to be played with. That you were loyal, but never to be betrayed. That you were present, but only for those who acted with honor. When people feel the cost of mistreating you, they learn faster than they ever would through words. Words can be forgotten, but impact, that leaves a mark. Even in professional environments, the rule applies. If a colleague oversteps, do not match their energy. Reduce your cooperation. Make them work harder to earn what you once gave freely. Let them understand that disrespect rewrites the contract between you. Not through threats, not through revenge, but through the art of strategic subtraction. People will begin to sense that you are someone whose favor is not guaranteed. And in that uncertainty, they will tread more carefully. They will begin to ask themselves questions before speaking to you. They will calculate before they joke, before they interrupt, before they assume. That is when you know you've built something deeper than popularity. You've built influence. Do not fear being misunderstood when you enforce boundaries. The weak will always interpret strength as arrogance. Let them. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are here to be respected by those who matter. And the ones who matter will notice the difference between petty silence and principled absence, between passive aggression and disciplined restraint. You must create a reality in which your presence is tied to peace, support, growth, and your absence is tied to discomfort, not because you are vengeful, but because you are valuable. And valuable people are not easy to lose without consequence. If people can walk away from you and feel nothing missing, then you were too available, too accommodating, too replaceable. And that is a mistake you can no longer afford to make in the theater of human interaction. The loudest one in the room is rarely the most powerful. Those who seek to dominate others through volume, anger, and emotional explosions are not feared. They are exposed. They tell you too much. They show you where they're weak. And Machiavelli would never trust a man who bleeds in front of his enemies. Respect is not gained through chaos. It is earned through control. Cold, precise, unshakable control. Every time you react emotionally, you hand your opponent a map of your mind. They see what triggers you. They see what words disarm you. They learn the buttons they can press to make you unravel. That is a luxury you can never afford to give, because the one who outthinks, not outshouts, always wins the war. Think of every situation where someone disrespected you. Maybe they insulted you, mocked you, challenged you, and maybe your instinct was to clap back, to raise your voice, to strike back in real time. That instinct is natural, but it is also the first thing your enemy wants you to do. They want you to lose composure, because the moment you become reactive, you stop being strategic. You fall into the trap of emotion. And Machiavelli taught that the one who controls his emotions controls his fate. The powerful man remains calm not because he feels nothing, but because he sees everything. He calculates. He listens while others speak too much. He watches while others try to provoke him. And when he moves, it is not impulsive. It is surgical. He does not get loud. He gets exact. He lets others drown in noise while he sharpens the knife of intellect. There's something unsettling about a person who refuses to get emotional. It unnerves people. It makes them second-guess their own power. If they insult you and you respond with silence, they begin to wonder what you're thinking. If they mock you and you smile, they begin to fear what you're planning. That is the beauty of restraint. It builds a psychological wall they cannot climb. Don't confuse calmness with weakness. The man who stays quiet when provoked is often the one who already knows the outcome. He's not avoiding the fight. He's deciding the terms. While others waste energy trying to win in the moment, the strategist chooses to win long-term. And that requires more than ego. It requires discipline. Most people live like exposed wires. Anything touches them and they spark. Their emotions are visible, predictable, fragile, but your goal is to become insulated, untouchable. You must walk into chaos and remain unmoved. You must hear disrespect and register it without letting it take root. Because if they can move your emotions, they can move your decisions. And if they can move your decisions, they control you. The greatest revenge is composure. When someone is trying to trigger you, they are seeking control. When you don't give them the reaction they're fishing for, you deny them their power. They become loud. You remain quiet. They become desperate. You remain steady. Suddenly, they are the ones losing credibility while you gain influence without saying a word. This is not passive behavior, it is tactical. It means you are choosing when and how to respond on your terms. And when you do speak, your words carry weight because they were not thrown out carelessly. They were measured, designed, impactful. There is also a deeper truth here. People who cannot control their emotions are seen as dangerous, not in a powerful way, but in an unstable way. They are feared like a storm, not respected like a commander. You must not only be respected, you must be trusted, and trust comes from emotional consistency. People follow those who remain the same in peace or conflict, in comfort or pressure. The unstable man is never a leader, only a liability. Think of the generals, the rulers, the masters of statecraft. They never raise their voices, they don't need to. Their decisions are weapons, their silence is strategy. Their patience is power. While others burn themselves out with noise and ego, the true leader watches the battlefield from above, waiting for the perfect moment to act. And when that moment comes, it's already too late for the enemy to recover. That is the level you must operate on. When others try to humiliate you, never descend into their chaos. They want to bring you down to their level, where they have home advantage. Decline the invitation. Let them rant, let them reveal themselves, let them think they've won, Because when you stay calm, they expose everything while you reveal nothing. Respect is not a gift. It is not handed to the kind, nor guaranteed to the honest. It is earned by those who understand the laws that govern perception, power, and human behavior. You do not get respected because you exist. You get respected because you shape how others experience you. When you carry yourself with quiet authority, people listen before you speak. When you guard your time with disciplined distance, people learn to value your presence. When your absence creates consequences, people remember what it costs to lose you. And when your mind stays calm in storms others cannot survive, they stop seeing you as a man. They begin to see you as a force. This is not about arrogance. It is not about cruelty. It is about understanding the reality of power. The world does not bend for the soft-hearted. It yields to those who command it, not with noise, but with intent, not with emotion, but with control. Respect is not asked for, it is architected. And today, you have the blueprint. Now walk differently, speak with weight, withdraw when necessary, and never, ever let the world forget that you were born to be respected.